All right, let's talk about something that I think is on everybody's mind: how to do a full reset for your brain. If you've been wanting to get back your focus, your motivation, that sense of drive, well, we first have to understand what's actually going wrong inside our heads.
You know that feeling, right? You get to the end of a long day, you are completely drained, totally exhausted, but your brain just will not switch off. You find yourself scrolling, your mind is buzzing, you're definitely not resting. That's the perfect description of being tired but wired.
And look, it's not just the nighttime thing. Think about your day. You're trying so hard to focus on one thing, but there's this magnetic pull. Your hand just kind of unconsciously reaches for your phone. Every little ding, every notification, it just shatters your attention. It makes that deep, meaningful work feel almost impossible.
Now, this is probably the most important thing you're going to hear today. If this sounds like you, it is not a personal failure. It's not about a lack of willpower. Your brain is actually running its original programming perfectly. The problem is, our modern world has figured out how to hijack that engine code.
So, to really get how this hijacking works, we need to talk about one key molecule: dopamine. But you know what? A lot of what we think we know about dopamine, it's just plain wrong. It isn't just one thing. We're really talking about two very different pathways in your brain.
So here's the first huge misconception. We always call dopamine the pleasure molecule, but that's not really its job. Dopamine is the molecule of wanting. It's that deep, ancient drive that got our ancestors to go out and look for food. And now, it's what pushes us to scroll for just one more bit of information.
And this is exactly where those two paths diverge. See, on one hand, you've got cheap dopamine. This is the quick, easy, effortless hit you get from a social media notification or a funny cat video. But on the other hand, there's achievement dopamine. This is that deeper, much more satisfying reward that you can only get from real, sustained effort, like finally finishing a tough project.
And the intensity of these dopamine hits, it's all over the map. A piece of chocolate might give you a nice little bump. Nicotine, that's a much sharper spike. But some things can send your dopamine levels just soaring, maybe 10 times above your normal baseline. These are massive, totally unnatural peaks, and believe me, they come at a serious price.
And this right here is the critical part. Your brain is obsessed with balance. It's a state called homeostasis. Just think of it like a seesaw, right? For every huge dopamine peak you get on the pleasure side, your brain pushes down just as hard on the pain side to level things out. So what does that mean? It means after the high, your levels don't just go back to normal. No, they plummet below normal. The bigger the high, the deeper the crash that follows.
As the brilliant Stanford professor Dr. Anna Lemke says, dopamine is about wanting, not about having. This whole system was never designed to make us feel satisfied. It was designed for endless pursuit. The pleasure of watching that one video is gone in a second. The real driver is the intense craving for the next one, and that's the loop we're all stuck in.
So that's the system. That's the code that's been hijacked. But here's the really good news. You can absolutely take it back. You can consciously reset your own dopamine levels. Let's walk through the 3 simple steps to get it done.
Okay, our whole reset is built on 3 main pillars. First, we're going to raise your daily baseline level of dopamine so you feel naturally motivated again. Second, we're going to learn how to get our dopamine from effort, not from those easy hits. And third, we're going to redesign our surroundings so they work for us, not against us.
Step 1, managing your baseline. This is going to sound almost too simple. All you have to do is get direct sunlight in your eyes for about 10 to 30 minutes pretty early in the day. This triggers a healthy, steady release of dopamine that literally sets your motivation for the entire day. And the flip side is just as important. Avoid bright lights and screens late at night because that causes a huge dopamine crash that will kill your motivation for the next day. It really is all about light.
Next up, we have to get a handle on the peaks. This means you stop rewarding yourself for every single little thing. But the real game changer is learning to get that dopamine hit from the effort itself. You do this by changing what you say to yourself. When you're in the middle of a struggle, you literally tell yourself, this is hard and that's a good thing. You start to rewire your brain to enjoy the process, not just the prize at the end. The struggle becomes the reward.
And finally, you have to become the architect of your own environment. This means you deliberately, consciously remove the triggers for that cheap dopamine. Make your bedroom a strict no-phone zone. Leave your devices in another room when you're eating dinner. The goal here isn't to get rid of technology. It's to put it back in its proper place, as a tool that serves you, not the other way around. And the results of doing this kind of reset, they're really profound.
People who commit to this report way less anxiety, a massively improved ability to focus, and just so much better sleep. You see, you're not just getting rid of the distractions, you're actually making room for genuine presence and real rest.
So I'll just leave you with this question. If you could actually reclaim your attention, get your natural motivation back online, and just quiet all that noise, both internal and external, what would you do with a truly focused mind?